Hi everyone, my name is Abiodun Oseni. Today I'm going to be giving a brief analysis on Iran and Israel conflict, or call it superiority tussle between those two countries. Before I do, I think it is essential to acknowledge the fact that the withdrawal from the JCPOA, that is the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Actions, by the United States can be referred to as a strategic failure or strategic error. This is because after the withdrawal from the JCPOA, Iran was able to enrich itself with some amount of uranium that is unknown to the IEAE or the United States and Israel. That aside, Israel has been waiting on the sideline during this second tenure of President Trump as negotiation is still ongoing between the United States and Iran, that if negotiation should by any means fail, Israel is ready to strike the Iran nuclear facilities. However, it is essential to re-echo that Israel do not have the capability or the capacity to dismantle Iran nuclear facilities. So Israel needs the help of the United States to achieve their objectives. However, from the point of analysis, it has shown that President Trump is not interested in going into active war with Iran because it's not of global interest, it's not really of United States interest. At the same time, the United States have a red line. The red line has been articulated by President Trump multiple times, loud and clear, that Iran cannot possess nuclear weapon, basic. And Iran too has articulated its own red line that Iran as a member of IAEA have the right to enrich uranium to the level of civilian use, that is for medical research and other related purposes. But the negotiation keep failing because of lack of trust, because Iran also articulated it that it did not really trust IAEA, which is an international atomic energy agencies, because it's an institution that was, formulated or orchestrated, by the West, and that agreement that IAEA, the statement from IAEA sounds like Western agreement or Western document. Also, within this period of negotiation, Iran also stated that they have informations and documents on Israel nuclear facilities. It is important to state that Israel is not a signatory to the IAEA, while United States is also not a signatory because US is already a nuclear power. It is important to state categorically that the United States going to war with Iran is not of United States interest, because we have a lot of American interest in the Middle East that is at the that Iran can get there at any time. So it's not of Iran interest. But I understand there are some domestic and external factors that make the United States position to be very inconsistent during this process of negotiation. However, it is important to state that during the war during this war between Ukraine and Russia, United States was able to secure a mineral deal. The objective of securing that mineral deal, apart from the economic benefit of it, is also to create deterrence. That is, by the time the war ends, then the United States is going to be able to deploy its expatriate and is going to be working on industry, on other things in its own interest area in Ukraine. And that is going to serve as a deterrent for Russia to attack Ukraine from there, because the United States is present in those areas. I'm of opinion that if negotiations should scale through during this process or during this round of discussion between the United States and Iran, the same model may apply to Iran in the sense that Iran may also invite Russia to work on its own civilian nuclear site. So by so doing, that is also is going to create a deterrence for the United States and Israel in order not to attack Iran. However, there are two theories to this, or two opinions to this. First, some group of people believe that Prime Minister Netanyahu is interested in going to war with Iran because he wants to invade justice. He wants to elongate his tenure, and he wants to the issue of genocide with the ICC, that is International Criminal Court. He is trying to elongate his tenure, and when he starts war with Iran, it's going to be a very long war because fighting war with Iran is going to be tough than rocket science. So some people have of opinion that he's trying to create that just to achieve those objectives. While other people are of opinion that Prime Minister Netanyahu is trying to go into war with Iran because of national security, because he wants to settle the beef between Iran and Israel once and for all, and he believes this is the right time to do that. But the fact is that it is not in the interest of the United States to go into war with Iran. And I'm going to give you one example, one very good example that is not in the interest of the United States. If the United States should go into war with Iran and the war is taking toll on the United States, China may use the opportunity to reintegrate Taiwan back to the mainland China. Mind you, I use the word reintegrate, not invade, because international system recognize one China policies, and United States too also recognize one China policy. The United States supplying Taiwan weapons and to defend itself, I think, is just a way to contain China and to maintain the United States hegemony. However, if US should go into active war, and like I said, that's going to give China a kind of opportunity to reintegrate the country back. Just the way the United States were able to admit Finland and Sweden into NATO while Russia is also on active war. So by so doing, I think it's going to be best to apply diplomacy because as I'm talking right now, the global system, economic system is fragile, very fragile, even plus the trade war that President Trump initiated. So having anything like war in the Middle East between Iran and Israel is going to cause a serious economic damage for the global system because the amount of oil that is supplied through their axis is going to, the price of gas is going to be very, very high. So by so doing, I am of opinion that this round of negotiation should prevail, diplomacy should work. So in order to have sustainable peace and security. So thank you.